Hey everyone, I am so proud to be here with my beautiful new pro athlete, Amanda Hopewell. She's just recently been awarded her ICN Figure Pro Card. And would just like to give you a little bit of an insight as to what her journey has been, because I know lots of you follow her and are super interested in her journey and where it all began. So we thought we'd do this interview today and just have a chat about the entire journey and give you a little bit of her background. So Amanda, thank you so much for being on this interview with me. How have you been going since you competed in the ICN Nationals 2021?
Hi Jo, thanks for having me today. It's been going great. It's been a whirlwind. Been very, very excited and, still on a high after almost 2 weeks. It's been great. Lots of support from everybody, and I had a few days off training. I was told by lots of people, have a week off training, but I couldn't. I couldn't keep myself.
I always like you to have a week off if possible, right afterwards, but you couldn't keep away.
No, I couldn't. So I think I was back in the gym on a Thursday, but
that's all right.
Yeah. I've been eating more. Been eating a lot. Enjoying some treats. And now I've got more energy. I've been, lifting heavy and just focusing on trying to pack on some muscle for my first pro show.
Yeah, for your pro debut. And so we're looking at that probably being more like 2023, aren't we? Perhaps end of 2022, depending maybe on what the calendar rollout looks like, what's happening with COVID. Obviously you're going to be doing, once you become pro, you do a fair bit of your competing overseas. So we need COVID to behave itself so that you can get over there. We're lucky in New Zealand because ICN New Zealand will almost definitely be holding some pro-ams. I'm pretty confident about that. So it's very exciting for you to be hopefully maybe stepping on stage for your pro debut in New Zealand. However, competing internationally is really where it's going to be at, and that's where you will meet your competition and gulp. That's going to be really fun, because then you're going to be able to kind of see where you fit in that international pro lineup, and then you really know where you're at, because you're definitely at the top of your game here in New Zealand. You've got to this sort of unbeatable status, which is a very exciting place to be. I remember being there myself, and now you're just so ready for the next step. So how are you feeling about going into the pro circuit?
It will be a little bit daunting, because it's been good here, and I've had a lot of competition here, but I feel like I need a new challenge. And Carl, my husband, has been saying, now this is going to be like a whole new ball game. It's going to be like a fresh slate, clean slate. But as you said, it'll be good to sort of compare myself. But we'll see if I can pack on some good muscle. And as you said, COVID, I'd love to go and compete and just to see how I compare with the other girls over there, and it'll be good because all my family, I'm from Sydney, all my family will be able to come and see me. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I know if time comes around next year and I can travel, it'll be very hard not to compete. I'll be really itching to get on stage, but there's a few factors to consider.
Yeah, you're definitely ready for it, and how amazing for your family to be able to see you compete in pro figure, and to have, what could be a debut over there in Australia. And, if we get this COVID thing sorted, then perhaps you'll be able to go further afield and maybe do some ICN shows in the States and wherever else they happen to fall at the time.
That would be magic. Yeah,
how do you feel about international travel further than the Pacific?
It'll be great. It'll be another, have a holiday afterwards. So
Yep, plenty of people do that. It certainly is something that takes a lot of practice to master because, when you're flying a lot further afield and you've got stopovers, in, for example, Bangkok or, one of those kind of, it sort of becomes like a 7 or 8 hour flight and then you've got to stop over and then they potentially could take your food off you at that point. So, it's just going through all that stuff and usually water loading on the plane and all that kind of thing, mastering that. But at least I'll be here to talk you through that stuff, having done it multiple times myself. So we will be able to figure it out. It's a fair bit of canned chicken, unfortunately, on that second leg of the flight.
Just up and down, up and down, up and down to the toilet. That'd be interesting. So
yes, yep. Become the air hostess's worst nightmare. Can you please fill up my bottle again? Sorry, it's me again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that'll be a challenge. So.
It will be. It's going to be so exciting. And so let's dial it right back to when you started. So we started back in, when was it, 2016?
Yes, I think maybe, October.
I think it was.
Or, getting towards the end of 2016.
I think it was because you did your first show in 2017 and that was about a year later.
Yeah. I remember my first chat with you. I was sitting on the bed and we were just, our first half an hour call just to see what it was all about. So I remember that vividly.
Do you really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I sent you some photos and you said, "Oh, you've got a good bass. You've got a good bass to start with."
You definitely did.
Because I ummed and ahed about doing a show for a while, and then I think a woman at the gym, she used to compete a lot and she started to coach me, and then I had a medial glute injury, so I had to stop prepping, and so there were a few false starts and I'm like, no, I'm going to get a proper coach. So I found you and voila.
The rest is history.
Yeah. Best decision. One of the best decisions I've ever made.
So was this lady your sort of inspiration? What inspired you to go on this journey?
First off, my friend Karina from Sydney, when I was over there, she was competing in IFBB. So she's about my height, quite short, but she had these great delts and she used to do it and get really lean. I was like, how do you look amazing? And kind of, envious there, a bit jealous. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then so I thought about it for a while, and then I came over here, and then I met Carl. He was my trainer. A lot of people probably don't know that I ended up marrying my trainer. Dumped the other guy. But anyway. And Carl, I lived there. Carl used to do it. I thought, oh, yeah, that's really cool. And he showed me some photos way back when, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, oh, yeah, that's something really cool. And I've always trained at the gym, but I'm, one of those, self-doubts where you think, oh, I couldn't do that. Well, me, I could never do anything like that. No way if I get on stage, let alone do any good at it. Had this sort of self-doubt, loathing growing up. But anyway, so I thought, no, it'll be great. And so he helped me, help motivate me, and, he's a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I couldn't have started it without him. And that's when I was like, oh, Lynn at the gym, she used to compete, and spoke to her and she helped me for a while. And that's when, I thought, I need to do this properly. So found your details.
And we got into it. And I was actually, I hadn't been doing online coaching for that long. I'd been a personal trainer for many years, and so was very used to being on the gym floor. And it was just that year in 2016, I had just had launched myself as an online coach. And of course, when I was PTing, I was, coaching lots of girls for the stage. But it got to the point where I wanted to start, just becoming more online and having more of an outreach to women all over New Zealand and all over the world, which is kind of what happened. So, some of the systems that we used back then were pretty basic, but, we I always managed to get your programming across to you, and we would have phone calls or Facebook Messenger calls or something to talk you through your programming. And I remember holding my phone up to the Messenger camera to show you video examples, and there was no screen sharing or sort of anything like that back then, and my systems were pretty simple, unlike they are now. So it's been amazing to have you with me that entire time, and together we've sort of, grown in that way. And so you competed a year later in 2017, and across that time you had really consistent results, and that you were just building such good quality muscle. You were able to really take on the technique cues that I was giving you. You were able to understand my passion for drop setting and how to really push yourself into the failure threshold. And so you were building muscle very quickly. And of course you had Carl there as backup as well. And you were just getting leaner and leaner, and to the point where, do you remember, I think we were sort of probably about 5 months out and you were almost show ready. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I sort of had to hold you back because we just had this, it was like a September date or something. And
you're chomping at the bit to get on stage.
Yeah, but I think you weren't quite mentally ready yet, or maybe we hadn't quite got enough posing underway, but your body was kind of ready. So we had to just hold it back for a wee while and then dial you back in when it came to September.
Because I had no expectations about what a show was going to be like. I was just like, oh, this is a really good experiment, to see how it's going to go. And went really well, didn't it?
It did. So you entered the WFF Wellington Champs in 2017, and I was guest posing at that show, which was really fun. So I was able to be there
backstage with me. It was awesome.
Be backstage with you and kind of, pump you up myself and that kind of thing. So you entered, was it novice figure? I think it was.
Oh, it was. No, they didn't have that then. They just had the weight class.
Oh, that's right. It was. It was.
Performance.
Was it performance? Oh, wow. Yeah. So that you had to weigh in under 50 kilos, I think. Was it 45 to 50 kilos?
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And under that was like, forgotten, even fitness or something or other.
Which is for your height was 40 to 45 kilos, which is very, very lightweight figure class. So anyway, so you won your performance class, and then you went into the overall, and then you won the overall at your first show.
I was just like, what? That was crazy. So that was the highlight.
It was so awesome. It was so awesome to actually be there for that and to have witnessed that. And that was a regional show. And then you decided not to do the nationals that year, I think.
Yeah, I think I got a bit run down, and then I was just a little bit, I don't know. I was happy with what I received, and I thought I was next year. So in hindsight, I should have done it, but anyway, it worked out well. And then we went into the next year, and
we did. And so then that was another really good year. So then you did Wellington again, and you won that.
And that
then we did the nationals, and then you won the overall at that as well. So that was your third
show
overall.
Yes,
I think that was your third overall. Yeah, and so that was your first Miss New Zealand title. So you did that within 2 years of starting, which was absolutely amazing. And then the following year, 2019, that was interesting, wasn't it? Because that's when you started to you put a lot of high expectations on yourself, and those sorts of thoughts were coming in that we all relate to. When you've won, you need to keep, there's this thing in your head that you need to keep winning. And it started to get the better of you.
Definitely. It was just like, if I don't win, then the world will end and I'll be a failure. And it was just, putting too much pressure on myself.
Yeah, the thoughts are really quite negative.
Not going into, thinking positively and how amazing it was going to be.
Yeah, there was a lot of focus on, I can't lose, instead of I've got this. I've done it before, I've got this. And so there's a big differentiation there between those thoughts. And then what we discovered is that your body did not come to the party in the same way, because what you were thinking, your body wasn't mirroring. And so we noticed that your condition was harder to come in. Just we didn't get quite as tight a condition as the year before, and you were freaking out. So the more you observed that, the more you were freaking out. But again, you did WFF Wellington again. So that was the third WFF Wellington you did, and you did get the overall, but it was not your best condition. But that was okay. We did plan to just dial you in for the nationals.
Yeah.
And then we went into a nationals prep, and we managed to pull that condition right in.
And that's when I started to get my head right.
Yeah.
And, you know, my head, when you're in a positive state, you don't have all that cortisol and stress. So I started that's when you helped me learn how to change my mindset. And
that's right.
Things just fell into place. So you have your mind.
It was a huge shift, because after you finished WFF Wellington that year in 2019, you're still grumpy about your condition, and I had to teach you that your body is going to replicate your thoughts. And so we did a lot of work, didn't we, on mindset and just reprogramming the way you were thinking, the way you were speaking to yourself and speaking about yourself. And we just had to, really reprogram all that. And so you came in really well for that nationals, but didn't get the overall. And we were actually hoping for a pro card that year, because pro cards were on offer. So you didn't get it. And that was something that we were, we thought, this is it. You're probably going to get it because your condition was good and you had won the year before. You already had a Miss New Zealand title, and we thought, great, this is it. This is a pro card. And then you didn't get it. And now we understand why, because you still weren't quite mentally ready. Your body was close, but you still didn't have quite enough experience, wasn't quite there yet. And, in hindsight, complete blessing in disguise. It just wasn't the right time.
Wasn't meant for me. It wasn't the right time. It wasn't meant for me. And I learned.
And no one got that figure pro card that year at that WFF Nationals.
And, as you say, what's meant for you is meant for you and will happen. But I learned a lot, and how you go into your competitions, and how you just, focus on the positive, and focus on what you can do, and not, well, if this doesn't happen, then I'm not going to be happy, or, I'm not going to,
And there was, even after that show, you didn't get the overall, you didn't get the pro card as you had hoped, but you were still in a fairly good mindset. You were able to cope with it, and we were then able to just go straight back to the drawing board and go, okay, what do we need to do to build this pro level physique? And that's what we did. And so we continued working on the mindset, and working on the way that you were thinking and the way that you were speaking to yourself, and at the same time really working on those weaker areas of your physique that we wanted to bring up. And so that year of 2020, after that, which was last year, we did another prep.
Yes, and something called COVID. I was in such a great headspace in the start of 2020. Like, I was just like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. COVID hit, and that affected, so many people in such a negative way. And meant for me, mentally, I struggled mentally. But I thought, no, and we still started to prep for the ICN show towards the end of the year.
That's right, yeah.
And it was going well, and I just got sick, and my body shut down, and I got really sick, actually.
You were really sick.
We had to
pull the plug fully.
I hadn't been that sick in a long time. So,
and we were only a couple of weeks out. Like, we were literally on the final weeks of prep, dialing it in. And your condition was coming in really well at that point, but your body said no.
Yeah, it said no deal. And so then we got some blood tests, and then the doctor said, I think it's best that you just, come off all these supplements, give your body a break. So we did.
Yeah, we did.
And then we just get back on the horse and keep training and keep lifting. And then I was like, right. And then when they announced ICN show, Oceanias. I thought, yes, this is my time.
Because it was in Wellington, your hometown.
Oh, yes, and that was going to be on my birthday weekend. So I thought,
Right.
what a birthday present. So I was focused on that. COVID pushes it all out again. So we just kept focusing. So that was, this year. And shows kept being pushed out.
Yeah.
I was going to do and then they changed the Wellington show to Wellington Champs, I think.
Yeah, it was originally going to be a pro-am.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? I think they were going to have, or it was a qualifier. That's right, it was the qualifier for something at the end of the year. I can't remember now.
But it was still going to be a pro card on offer, but they changed it. No one from overseas could come, so I thought,
That's right.
We'll make it just, the Wellington Champs. That's right. Then they said they opened up the bubble, can go to Australia, so I thought, right, I'm just dropping everything and then see my family.
Yeah, it was the best thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was exactly what you needed at the time, with having had the shows pushed out and another show ripped out from underneath you when you were. But in saying that, at that time in the year, your body was a little slow to come in, and we felt like we were going to be cutting it fine to hit that Wellington date at the same time. And so, it was a blessing in disguise. And then you were able to go home. You got a good, when the bubble was open in that short window that we had, which was like 8 weeks or something, that you got to go and see your family and get a lot of that love and just get consoled there. And then you came back and it was on.
Yep, it was on, and just head down and keep on prepping. And
it was after that again. You started to really, your body was on a nice roll. It just, I think we might have done some carb cycling and things like that.
The fat just fell off. Like it was, no issue. It was just quite easy to lean out, which was.
Yeah, and then it started really fast. But then COVID again pushed your dates out again. So you were almost ready. The dates got pushed out, so we had to sit tight and hold it again. And so you were aiming for the ICN Nationals, which then had gotten pushed out to, what was it, 7th of October.
Yeah.
And I said to you, and you were pretty much ready, and it was like 7 weeks out, and you sent me a message, it was like, oh my God, I don't know, like I'm just clawing away here, hanging on.
Yeah, I'm laying
7 more weeks.
Yeah, that was tough.
And so we decided to do NABBA Nationals.
That was such a great suggestion. I wouldn't have thought of it.
Because it was like in 3 weeks' time, I think.
That's right. And I was at the gym, and I'm like, and you're like, when are you doing NABBA? I was like, oh.
Because I had such a lovely team going, and I thought, you could just tag in with the other girls, just go, and we'll just kind of brush the rust off and get back up there, and you did, and then you won another Miss New Zealand title, won the overall.
I know, because I was on the cross trainer. I thought I got a real high that night. I thought, great, 3 weeks I can do a show, and that was the best decision. That was It just gave you just that focus and that little lift, and just seemed like then that 7 weeks wasn't going to be quite so long with breaking it up with a show there. You were ready to go. We just had to do a tiny little peak week and bring it in, which we did. It was like a little holiday. It was like I could drive to Palmy and a new federation. So it was just a bit of a trial and a show. And there you go. I won the overall. So that was and you're able to also be backstage with Team JM, and I think I had 7 of you all there at NABBA Nationals, and all of you looking amazing, and I was excited to just have you there with the other girls, because all your other shows you had. One of the WFF shows I had quite a big team there. I think it might have been 2019 or something. Yeah. We had that was so nice. It was so nice to have them all backstage. It was probably one of the. I would say probably one of the best vibes, either that one or one of the WFF national shows. That one, NABBA show, was really chilled. Everyone backstage was friendly, and the girls were really happy. So that was really. There was a really nice vibe at a NABBA show.
I have to say, like, you know, it's got this kind of like friendly family environment, and everyone's just having a good time.
Yes,
Especially that night show.
Yeah, a bit fatigued when it comes to the night show, but
yes, it's a long time, isn't it? So it does make it for a very long day when you're used to one show formats.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, then it does make it for a very long day, but yeah, it's worth it when you're having a good time backstage at the night show with everybody. It's a long wait to the overall though.
Feels worth it.
And so you entered the over 40 figure class, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then won that, and then which was interesting because you really wanted to also do an open figure class, and so we decided not to do that and to just go into over 40, and that was a good decision. It was a good win, and then straight into the overall and cleaned it all up.
Yeah.
It was a great overall, though. I have to say that overall lineup was good quality figures up there, but they got you onto the centre pretty quickly.
Wasn't sure what was happening because we kept going around comparisons like for ages.
Yeah.
It was hard work, man. The next
week, I could
see
you working hard up there.
I like my poor right calf was
that front double bicep, right calf.
All for like a week. It was hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to experience an overall like that as well. Yeah.
You gotta work for it.
Yeah. It's so much more rewarding when you do have to work for it. You've got lots of comparisons, and you've just got to keep those compulsory poses going and going and going. And it really takes some serious endurance, and that's why it's so important. Everyone take note. You've got to practice your posing over and over again, nonstop, taking yourself through your mandatories so that you've actually got the endurance for if there is a big lineup like that and you're just being compared constantly.
Yeah.
Especially at the end of the day like that.
Nice. Yes, practicing posing.
Over and over again.
Over and over.
And then it wasn't long after that till ICN Nationals. So what was it? 3 weeks?
5 weeks. 5.
Was it 5?
I think it was 5.
That's right. And we came out, we just sort of came up a tiny bit, gave your body a little wee break, had a little bit of extra carbs and stuff, and then we just dialed it back in again. And you came in even better. Like I thought, wow, if we beat that NABA condition, because that NABA condition was stunning, if we beat that, we have topped this. And we did. You were peeled.
Lowest body, I can see my striations in my glutes, which was great. And lowest body fat pain.
Yeah. Yeah, they would be your quads actually, I think they came out. I mean, your quads generally come out really well, and your hemiglutine as well. But yeah, they just came in so tight that week. It was amazing.
I was knackered. I had to take, a lot of time off work leading up just so I could rest.
2 weeks, wasn't it?
I had 2 weeks off. I always take the week leading up to the shows off. But I was just like floating, like I felt like sort of ghostly, sort of, away just leading up to the 2 weeks beforehand. So I just took time off work.
Yeah. And you were tired, like you had a couple of days or a week where you sort of climb out of bed, go to the gym and climb back into bed.
Yeah, that's what I did most of the time is sleep in, eat, train, go back into bed. We've got a telly in the bedroom, so, and I was just watching a lot of television and then sleeping a lot.
How nice to just lie in bed and get conditioned, right?
Yeah.
But you're in the tightest condition of your life when you can hardly move.
Yeah, and you're freezing.
Yeah.
I was complaining it's hot in the gym because the air conditioning's broken, and I'm like,
oh, you'd really feel that aircon lean like
what are you talking about?
Yeah. So I think your body fat was around about 6 to 7%, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 6.
Yeah, exactly. So, when you're that peeled, you feel everything, and it's actually hard to move around because you don't really have the energy stores. You don't have the fat stores,
So just getting out, just walking around.
Yeah.
Walking up the stairs to the gym.
Yeah.
That's tiring.
It is. It is, and then you got to train.
Yeah.
I just used to lie on the floor in between my sets, go hard on the set, and then just lie there with my eyes closed, and then do another set, and so on for 7 sets or whatever it is.
And then you got to pose as well.
Yeah, actually, finding the energy to pose when you're feeling like that is pretty hard, actually, and does take it out of you.
You just think about, do I want that pro card? Do I want it? Yes.
Yeah, totally.
That up and keep doing it.
That's right. That's right. And, it often does assimilate sometimes how you might feel up there in an overall lineup, working hard when you're tired, and you've got to keep going. And it's just so worth practicing your posing when you're tired and just building up that resilience and that endurance, because you are probably going to need it at some point, especially if you're doing a few shows back to back. So you hit a big lineup and you've got to have that endurance there. So what did we do? You had 3 classes back to back, I think. What was it? Over 40 open, and then overall?
And then the overalls. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was tiring.
You won them all. It was. And they were back to back. There was no other classes in between.
Stop, walk off the stage, hand your medal over, get back on it. Yeah. And then at that time, it was really hot, so I felt like I was like just dripping, tan and glaze, and like my makeup starting to drip.
Yeah. So were you actually dripping?
I was feeling, that's right, because my bikini was stained, or the white. Obviously, it's all running down.
Oh, right, yeah. So the tan was coming off onto the bikini.
Onto my white bits on my bikini. But that's okay. Like, I don't think you could tell on stage, but it was pretty warm. But
because we actually didn't, because sometimes if you still got water in there that you can sweat out, you could still potentially be drier. But I was careful with you because your condition was so good in the lean up to it. I didn't want to overly dry you out because you were just so lean. We didn't do a super dry water deplete in the last 2 days. I think we kept it at 2 litres or something like that the day before, because you're already lean and dry and quite vascular, so there was no need to like dry you out further. I didn't want to flatten out your muscle or
sort of fine lines,
anything like that. So it was so that would explain why you still had a bit of water on board to sweat.
But it could have just been like the glaze sort of melting off me. I'm not sure.
It does. Sometimes the lights can melt your tan a little bit. I mean, the way that they tan nowadays with, spray tanning and the glazing and everything, it's better than some of the rub-on stuff that we used to use back in the day. I remember using there was one that I used to use. It was a Phil Covercoff top coat, and it would just melt. It would just melt on stage. And if you had any water left in the system, it would sort of just like separate on stage. It was just, and then you just look patchy. So, it was really interesting. It looked lovely initially, but once you got out there under the heat, it sort of just melted away.
Being a puddle.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about when you were presented with your pro card. What did that feel like? When they announced you the overall winner, what did you think to yourself?
I was just like, yes, amazing. But like I assumed I'd be offered a pro card, but then when Brenda came out, I just started to cry, and she was giving it to me, and then she was just like, you make me cry, and she was starting to get tears as well. But it was just such a relief and just gratitude and just pure joy. Yeah. Just so happy. I was just like, what? Sort of, when things are sort of like slow motion. But it was
yeah, and it's almost like some of your life flashes before you. Like there's YouTube footage of when I won the Universe in 2013, and like when they announced, my name, New Zealand, Johanna Mountfort first place, and I was over in Greece, and I had, was over there. Had left my family and was the only Kiwi to come over and represent New Zealand at the WF Universe, and it was my first, really, really big competition. And I was the same as you, just the tears, I couldn't hold them back. And I just remember all the days of training and working through injuries, and just the vision of, just flashed before me within about, 30 seconds of just you can't hold the emotion in.
Because there's so much sacrifice. And so that is, the carrot at the end of the day that you just like, okay, it's all been worth it. Because I've just
exactly
with my family, with my husband, like even like the kids, and then you miss out on social events, all the stuff that I've been craving. And it's just food, but I've just been like watching. So many. I just
sitting tight, holding it together.
I feel like I'm crawling on the floor up a hill trying to get there because it's been prolonged. So it's been even harder because my body's just been so exhausted.
Yes.
I've been crying some days because I'm so tired, and I'm just like, so that, it's all been worth it, and the relief.
100%. Yeah.
Just pure happiness, pure joy.
Yeah, exactly. And it was lovely when I messaged Brenda. We were messaging a couple of days later, and she said that giving you your pro card was the highlight of her day, which is just the loveliest thing to hear. She knew how much you wanted it. She knew how long you've been working for it, how you've been visualizing this for several years, and she was the one who was able to give you that, that moment. And I think it just, it was as awesome for her as it was for us, which is so lovely to know.
That was just so beautiful for her to say. And I was just so happy to meet her because I had been, seeing her on social media and hearing such nice things about her. So it was really good to finally meet her as well.
And how was it competing with ICN?
Great. Yeah. I'm so glad I got my pro card so I can just represent ICN, and I'm just not looking
natural bodybuilding.
Yeah, and I won't look back, and I'll just stick with ICN, and because I can't compete with.
Once you've got a pro card, they own you.
Yeah, that's totally
you
fine.
Stick with them. Yeah, that's how it rolls.
And I don't have to worry about competing with other people who, they've had a bit of extra assistance.
Exactly. That's right. Standing as a natural athlete against athletes who are not natural, you can't rely on that, that pharmaceutical assistance. So you've got to bring every other aspect. You might not have that level of like size that they've got. So you've got to make sure your symmetry is on, your conditioning is on, your posing is on. You got to like have your focus on when you're on stage and just, pose as big as you possibly can and bring it as, you just got to bring everything. You can't just sit back and rely on, not that they do, but, it's like when you're natural up against, girls that are on the gear, you have to do that. But, in saying that now you don't have to worry about that. You're on a level playing field, and now it's just natural girls against natural girls.
And you can see that just ICN is becoming way, way more popular in the world. So
yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome to have ICN in New Zealand now, and to just have that other option for shows. And it's a great federation. And I'm so proud of you for having finally achieved that goal. And it's been a real honour to coach you all the way through from scratch. And I have to say, your awesome husband Carl, who's just been your rock all the way, and he's just been that steady voice in the background, and he would have copped some shit.
A few meltdowns, a few diva moments. Yeah, a few little snips,
You saying that you're like,
I'm like, so sorry where that came from. So I couldn't do it without him, and I couldn't have ever done it without you.
We know, but you're worth it.
You've changed my life, so I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You have been an absolute joy to coach all the way, and I'm just excited for the next step and the next phase. So everyone watch this space. I'll put Amanda's social media pages up in the caption or on this video somewhere, so you guys can give her a follow and watch her next steps. She is available as well as an ambassador or as a sponsored athlete for any brands that want to have an exceptional athlete on board. Amanda does have everything that you want. So there's a little shameless plug for you. But yeah, contact us if you have a brand that would love to have Amanda represented. She is a sensational athlete and she gives 150%, as you can see. Thank you so much for being with me today and for sharing your world of your journey into bodybuilding, and we are so excited to watch the next phase and whatever happens along the way, and the learning that you continue to receive and the joy that you continue to give us as we watch your incredible journey. So thank you so much for sharing today.
Thanks, Jo. Pleasure.
Oh, it's been fun. Thanks, Amanda.